kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
Okay. Welcome, boils and ghouls, to the Cold Dead Heart Horror Break. With me today we have Lena and Ken of the Dead.
Hey.
Hello.
Today we'd like to focus on the Dead Meat Horror Awards that took place last week. We will go over all the categories, nominees, and of course the winners. Then we'll dive in to celebrate some women of horror, our favorite scream queens, and then end with a recap of everything we've watched, read, or played this past week. Thanks for joining us. And so last week we watched the Dead Meat Horror Awards, and it was so much fun. We screened it on the Discord, and just a quick disclaimer, these are just our opinions. All of the wins are very much well-deserved, and we just like to celebrate horror. So on that note, what did you think, Ken?
Oh, I thought it was so fun. We talked about it a lot. I love enthusiastic people in horror, and you could really tell that the hosts and the special guests and stuff, like, they were having a blast. These people care a lot about our genre, and it was really fun to see everyone's opinions and behind the scenes stuff. Favorite award show for sure. So good.
I mean,
What about you, Lena?
I've been kind of annoying you guys with that channel for months now because it's been my favorite since I basically started watching it when they were down to 70k subscribers. And when they started with that award show last year, I was already very stunned with what they brought to the table. But this year was a lot better, and you can just see the growth and how many connections they made. I really loved it.
Yeah, the industry loves them now too, right? Like, I love seeing all these people in the industry that are now jumping on board. So it's cool to see.
It is really cool to see. All right, let's go ahead and jump in to the first award category, which was Best Stunt or Choreography. The nominees were Renfield, Evil Dead Rise, Megan, Meg 2, The Trench, Sick, and Scream 6. What was your favorite, Ken?
For stunt choreography, it's definitely got to be Reinfeld. That movie was so freaking fun. Now, full disclosure, I haven't seen all the movies on this list. I've seen a good chunk of them. But man, the action in Renfield, that was better to me than like any big Marvel movie or whatever. I thought it was so good. And the horror aspect to it just like solidified it for me. But the action in that and the fighting choreography was mind-blowing. I definitely would have picked Reinfeld.
What about you, Lena?
I mean, it's no open secret that I really love Scream. But despite me loving Scream that much, I really loved Evil Dead Rise and everything the actors put into it, especially considering there were a lot of kid actors. And Alyssa Sutherland did most of her stunts herself. So I really love what they put to the table there. And I couldn't decide, honestly, but I'd say Evil Dead Rise, yeah.
That's actually my pick as well, Evil Dead Rise. I was really hopeful that it would win. Pretty much for the same reasons. I was just really impressed with how well they did the stunts and how everything looked. And I was really happy with it. The winner, though, was Ken's pick, which is Renfield.
Yeah, I think it's super well deserved. Now, Evil Dead Rise was one of my favorite movies from last year. Renfield, it was high on my list from movies last year, but only because, and not to take away from the movie, but I wasn't expecting a lot from it, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
definitely.
for this category specifically, the stunts and choreography, I think it's super well deserved. I'm in no way saying it's a better movie than any of the other ones on the list, but it definitely in this category. It was just a crazy action, bloody action movie. I thought it was phenomenal what they did there.
And a lot of bug crunching.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Renfield, right? So
Yeah.
you have to expect some bug crunching. For sure.
It was a great movie to watch. Just on the side and being concentrated on it as well. It was like a very smooth run. I didn't have any second where I was bored because it was just one scene after another with great action, great acting.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So next up we have Best Digital Effects. The nominees are Godzilla -1, The Last Voyage of Demeter, Megan, Meg to the Trench, No One Will Save You, and The Pope's Exorcist.
Mm.
What
So this might surprise you guys because I really don't think it's a good movie, but it was beautifully filmed, and that's The Last Voyage. The cinematography and digital effects in this were breathtaking. I thought the movie was pretty boring. So I'm definitely not saying it's better than any of the movies on this list. And I'm sure if I had seen it, I haven't seen it yet, boo to me, but I'm sure Godzilla, if -1, when I see it, I'll be like, oh, that takes it for sure. But from the movies on this list I've seen for digital effects, I got to go with Last Voyage. It was gorgeous. Visually, it was beautiful.
For me, it's gotta be Godzilla -1 from what I've seen, because it's freaking beautiful, and to digitalize Godzilla the way they did and to make it seem this smooth, it's wonderful. I really love it. And I mean, Godzilla is a childhood monster of mine, so
sure,
you can't go wrong with
so
it.
I'm going to change my vote now. I didn't know that we could pick movies we hadn't seen. So, like, I've seen a lot of the visuals and the trailers and a ton of clips. And yeah, I get it. That's why I was saying, like, I'm sure if, like, once I see it, I'll be like, that's the one, right? Because it does look amazing. And I love how Godzilla looks in it. He looks so good. Best movie, like, Godzilla presence that I've seen in so long. It's just something that the more modern movies haven't been able to capture until now. What about you, G?
So I'm gonna go a bit off from you guys, and I'm gonna say No One Will Save You.
That does look beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, so they, and I could be wrong, but they were talking about how they didn't have a huge budget, so they were trying to be really sparing with how much they showed in the first half. Is that?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that
Yeah,
correctly?
it was that
No,
movie,
yeah, no, definitely,
Yeah.
They had to basically save the effects because it was a low budget indie film. They had to save the effects and kind of use them at the right time.
Yeah, and I thought they did such a good job, and I feel like with the budgets that like Godzilla had and like The Last Voyage of the Demeter and Meg 2 even, they were all flawless, and Megan was flawless. But I loved that kind of like indie spirit, and just I feel like they showed what you can do with like shoestrings and hope.
Right. Now, damn it, because now I want to change my vote again. You know, I'm a sucker for indie hits.
I know.
I'm all over the board.
The winner for this category was Godzilla -1.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big surprise, right? It looks beautiful.
Understandable considering they also won the Oscar like a few days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For the movie, yeah.
All right, and next up we have Best Practical Effects, which I just got to say, I'm so excited that Dead Meat separated the two categories.
Yes.
Because I
couldn't agree with you more.
Oh, that is just such a good decision. And I feel like perfect for horror fans because I definitely distinguish the two.
Yeah, me too. I think most of us do, right? Practical effects are like, it's almost in our blood. If you grew up with horror, especially like 80s, early 90s horror, it's like we definitely distinguish them. Yeah. And extra points always for practical effects.
So the nominees in this category were When Evil Lurks, Five Nights at Freddy's, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, Megan, Saw X, and Thanksgiving.
I'm definitely giving it to Thanksgiving. Eli Roth. Yeah, he knows what he's doing with his practical effects. Well, hands down, I'm giving it to Thanksgiving for sure.
Nice.
When Evil Lurks might be my number 2.
Mine is very split because as much as I love Five Nights at Freddy's, it's not only about the killing practical effects. I just love how they made the animatronics.
Right.
Like, goddamn, that Foxy animatronic was purely practical, and they made it come to life. But as much as I love that, it's between Saw X and Thanksgiving to me. Because, like Ken already said, Thanksgiving, these practical effects, Eli Roth knows what he's doing. I was surprised to watch a movie in this caliber after a long time again. And Saw X is just beautiful when you see what they pulled up with again, especially after all this practical stuff in the movies before. Yeah. So it's got to be between these two.
Saw would definitely be a strong one too. Yeah. What about you, Jake?
Well, for me, I've got to say When Evil Lurks.
Yeah.
I really appreciate Thanksgiving. I appreciate Saw X. I really, to be honest, didn't notice the practical effects of Megan, but When Evil Lurks, the way that like demonic rot stuff spreads. Oh.
Yeah. I was thinking when I'm like that would be my close number 2. That's exactly what I was thinking about. So cool.
And When Evil Lurks is actually the winner of the practical effects category.
Yeah, I get it.
I do too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, understandable.
I know you.
It's hard though. I mean, there were so many last year that were just really, really good.
Yeah. And we're seeing this resurgence, this massive resurgence. It's got to be because the fans demand it, right? But in these like old ideas, but brought up in more of a mainstream. And I think the Terrifier movies have a lot to do with that, just how successful they've been on low budget with having passionate people doing amazing practical effects. And Hollywood is, they've gone so digital, and I feel like a lot of the horror community has just become so disconnected with it that now that you see the effect that practical effects have on fans, you're seeing it more often, and indie people are able to do a little bit more, right? I love seeing it.
Absolutely. So going straight from there to Best Kill, and the nominees for this category are Vicky from When Evil Lurks, Max from Five Nights at Freddy's, Trish from Kids vs. Aliens, Valentina from Saw X, Ephraim from Suitable Flesh, Kathleen from Thanksgiving.
So many good ones, right? I haven't seen Kids vs. Aliens, but I did see this kill on the awards, and I was like, oh man, instantly, we talked about this last week, that movie wasn't even on my radar to watch until I watched the awards and saw that kill scene. I'm like, I gotta watch this now because it looks so good. But honestly, I'm going with personally for Suitable Flesh, and I'll tell you why, because I love that movie. But that kill scene, it's not the most impressive kill scene, but I think the effect it had on me when I was watching the movie, and she just kept going with the car, right? And I'm like, and you could see the change in that rear view camera. And it just kept going. And I was like, it's like one of those moments where you kind of adjust yourself in your chair. And that doesn't we're all pretty desensitized. That doesn't happen to me a lot, but I thought it was just so cool how they did that scene. I got to throw Suitable Flesh a bone. I was just super happy to see it anywhere on this list, so I'm going with that one. But a lot of good kills.
Yeah, mine is pretty obvious. I think I got to give it to Valentina. It was a kill. Yeah, no matter how much I freaking watch it, I can't look. I can't look when she presses with that Y and she just goes for it. Like, really goes for it. It's not even the visual, it's the sound. That it kept me up for hours afterwards. And what they did with that whole character, like that body of Valentina had to go through so much, even after her death, which is why I'm picking Valentina for this.
That behind the scenes, Lena, holy crap, man. Yeah. That was so impressive to see like how they did that. Yeah.
A real wire, even like a real.
Yeah, I
functioning
know.
wire.
It's so good. And you can actually see like her flesh and muscle
Yeah.
like underneath. Yeah. Oh man, that was so crazy. It's a good one. What about you, G?
Gigi?
I'm gonna go with Kathleen from Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's such a good one.
Yeah, it
Poor Kathleen.
freaked me out. Poor Kathleen.
Right?
She fought so hard.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But funny enough, when I was watching it too, I wasn't going to really watch Kids versus Aliens because I don't really even have it come up in something I would watch. And then it showed the kill that they were nominated for, and I was like, what is this movie? So I watched it. Holy moly. Most fun I've had watching that type of movie in a long time. Like,
I love it.
it's definitely campy. It's more like a comedy horror adventure. But it was so good. And you could tell that everybody was having a good time making it. I don't know. Like, it was just an enjoyable experience to see it. And
that specific scene too, it was so like the kid horror fan in you, which it's Kids versus Aliens, right? But that kid horror fan in me, like watching that scene, I was like, this is amazing. It's something to do with the slime. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Yeah.
It's like
it was
that
definitely
show.
Cool.
What was it? That Nickelodeon
You can't say
show?
that on television.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So first thing I thought of. But it was funny because neither one of us had this movie on our radar, and we were talking about it as we were watching the awards in the side chat and the Discord, and we're like, "What the hell? I gotta watch this movie." That's funny. And the winner is
When Evil Lurks, Vicky.
Yeah, such a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, and it's so funny.
Good, right? Yeah.
In the little excerpt, I'm so glad that they put those little excerpts in because I learned so much. But they had trouble with the dog because he was so like lazy and sweet on set, making him look terrifying. And I was like, oh, pet the dainty puppy.
Get so used to kids dying in certain movies that when they said, "Oh yeah, what's so surprising for showing a kid die?" I was like, because I was so used to it. But it's like the aspect of the it's like the aspect of the dog doing it, like which is one of the biggest fears a parent can have with dogs and kids and stuff. I think that's what really brings it home.
Yeah, it's true, and it's a beloved dog. Like it's not even like a strange one.
Exactly.
Right. It's not Cujo.
No. So Best Supporting Performer is the next category, and we have Ellie in Evil Dead Rise, Riley in Talk to Me, Allison in The Blackening, Benson in The Passenger, Rose in Rebirth, and Asa in Suitable Flesh.
Oof. It's a tough one, right?
It is.
So for me, it's definitely the winner in my mind is definitely Alyssa Sutherland. I can't say it. What can I say that hasn't been said 1,000 times, right? Like just legendary performance. I loved everything about it. My number 2 would be Joe Bird, Riley from Talk to Me. That movie took me by like such surprise. You guys know I don't like modern teen movies. I thought that one was definitely the best hardcore horror teen movie, and everyone in that movie was dynamite. But Alyssa's taking it for sure, in my mind. What about you, Lena?
In my mind, I mean, I already talked about how amazing Alyssa was with her stunts, and they were like, "Oh, are you fine with us doing this thing?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she learned so many stuff, and they even joked with what kind of bruises Alyssa came to set again, and I really love the dedication of her. But my second vote, if I had one, would go to Kyle Gallner, I think his name is, like his last name. Just because I'm a really big fan of his work. And it's a pretty simple movie, The Passenger, but it works, and his craziness works so well, and that he stayed in role even after filming. I just really love the dedication he puts into his stuff, and I love seeing more of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. All of these are really good choices. What about you, G?
So I have to go with Alyssa for Evil Dead Rise. Phenomenal. My second pick would be Asa from Suitable Flash, Judah Lewig or Lewig.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the winner was Ellie in Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, clean sweep.
What a surprise.
I know. I thought it was just, the best decision. So next up we have Best Lead Performer, which is Valeria in Husera the Bone Woman, Sam Carpenter from Scream 6, John Kramer in Saw X, Bryn in No One Will Save You, Koichi in Godzilla -1, and Mia in Talk to Me.
I'm definitely going with Sophie Wilde, Mia in Talk to Me. I don't know what she's done before this. I've never, I don't recognize her from anything. She blew me away. Honestly, I thought her performance was hands down my favorite. She brought a real terror to it, like an authentic like teenager, which is a hard sell for me, right? Especially in modern movies. But she sold me from beginning to end. Hands down, my number one. What about you, Lena?
Definitely. I mean, she was great.
So good.
Like Sophie Wilde, her name is. I really, really loved her performance. And as much as I loved Tobin Bell's performance, he's in the industry for so long. And I think he gave his character life.
A young actress to be so good. She was so good, so believable. Yeah, but Tobin Bell was actually my number two.
Yeah, he was so great because John Kramer was such I'm going to say one-dimensional character for most of the time, because they rewrote his story 1,000 times, but it was always the same shtick. And to have him show compassion and to have him show care, and to have certain scenes, especially with Shawnee Smith, where you can just see the relationship forming. That's the thing where I saw Tobin Bell again, and him really loving that character to death. Love that. But
it's a good one.
Still Mia and Talk to Me. That blew me away.
So I'm gonna go with Bryn in No One Will Save You, because I mean, without her performance, there wouldn't have been a movie.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
I was like, she carried the whole thing, and she did it beautifully. But a quick disclaimer for me, the winner for the Best Lead Performer is Valeria from The Bone Woman, Natalie Solian. But I've not seen The Bone Woman.
Yeah, me neither. This was actually the first time I heard about it, and it sounds phenomenal.
It does. So I have to watch it. Definitely something I plan to do this weekend. But yeah, for now it would be Bryn. Caitlin Dever is the actress's name. So next up is we have Best Remake or Sequel. And the nominees for this category are Godzilla -1, Evil Dead Rise, Hell House LLC Origins: The Carmichael Manor, Saw X, Scream 6, Thanksgiving.
How tough is this category right now, right? How do you pick? So, I'm clearly going to go with Evil Dead Rise, right? Again, haven't seen Godzilla. I'm sure I'm going to love it when I do see it. Everyone says nothing but good things. I got to go with Evil Dead Rise because it was just the best movie I saw last year. But Hell House LLC Origins, so friggin' good. Saw X, so good. Thanksgiving, I'm almost torn. I know, I don't know, man. This is a tough category. I'm going with Evil Dead Rise, and I'm gonna bounce it over to Lena.
As much as I love Evil Dead Rise, I give it to Saw X because it resurrected the whole franchise. For me, it did.
I get it.
And it brought back that same spark I felt with the first movies. And that was something that I never thought I'd feel again. Yeah. And I'm really happy that it did that. So it's Saw X.
It's a good one. What about you, G?
I'm gonna go with Evil Dead Rise as well. I just feel like it hit all of the marks it needed to, although everything else on the list is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a tough category. These are all big hitters, right?
Yeah. The winner for it is Godzilla -1, which I totally get. I mean,
I get it. Yeah.
Holy moly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But Evil Dead Rise just knocked it out of the park. And I feel like it I don't know how to put it. The 2013 remake of Evil Dead.
I love that movie.
It was good. It was good. But it didn't have that feel that I wanted for an Evil Dead show. Like it did. It was a good movie. But what Evil Dead Rise did is it captured that that vibe a lot better, and that's the thing I missed. There was a part where it went through and it felt like when it was moving through the shed and the house and stuff like that in the original, and they captured that in Evil Dead Rise moving.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
And so I was just like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, no, there was, it's funny because that opening sequence, I don't want to talk too much about Evil Dead Rise. That opening sequence was pretty dynamite, but I there's a lot, and I've said it a bunch of times. I love this movie, Evil Dead Rise. I think it's phenomenal. But the 2013, just in comparison, I thought that there was there's ups and downs with both. Right. I guess the point I'm trying to make is I feel like they're very complementary to each other. You know what I mean? Like as a new branch of the franchise. And it was kind of looking to that. We watched the 2013, literally to the minute before going out to the theater and seeing Rise. And I feel like they fit really well together. Yeah. But fantastic movie.
Mm-hmm. Next category is Best Original Film, and the nominees are When Evil Lurks, The Bone Woman, Influencer, Megan, Skinamarink, and Talk to Me.
I think I gotta go with Talk to Me on this one.
Yeah.
It's a close with When Evil Lurks. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Talk to Me. I think it surprised me so much that it moves up in my ranking. It was a phenomenal movie. I've got to give it to that one. What about you, Lena?
Oh, Talk to Me, definitely. Just because it comes from people that were known for YouTube, and then the first movie they put out is
banger.
Such a good movie. I mean, nobody really expected much from it, but it just blew everyone away. But
there's a couple that bridged over from. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, that's fine. I just wanted to say that Influence is also a really great movie. It's an interesting concept. I think everyone should watch it at least once. Just my.
Nice. Yeah.
What about you, G?
Well, I was just gonna say. I think it's interesting that a couple on this list, Skinamarink and Talk to Me, are creators that were on YouTube making short films, and then they bridged over to full length, and I think that's really cool.
For sure. And Skinamarink, what an interesting movie.
Yeah.
We could probably have a whole show just breaking that film down, right?
We could.
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Yeah. It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, the whole time. Yeah. For sure.
I didn't finish it. It made me so uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah, and that's not normal for me. I was just like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of like your nerves are on fire after like the first 10 minutes. It's like your nerves are being electrocuted throughout the rest of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Which is weird because nothing really happens, but yeah.
I know.
Well, not nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Who was your pick?
So When Evil Lurks is my pick.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, and it's also the winner of the category. So, but I love that director.
Right?
Rugna also did the not Terrifier, but Terrified.
Right.
And that movie also scared me, and I had to like pick my feet up off the floor. You know
right.
what I mean? Like something under the couch is gonna get my toes. And
that's funny.
yeah, I think he does incredible work, and When Evil Lurks was phenomenal from start to finish. Uncomfortable at times, but
yeah, no, it's fantastic flick. I wonder how much our opinions will change once we actually watch this Bone Woman.
I know.
Definitely.
You've got to watch it.
Yeah.
So best villain.
Here we go.
We have Megan from Megan, Eden from Children of the Corn, Ellie as a Deadite from Evil Dead Rise, CW Influencer, the Entity in the House from Skinamarink, and John Carver in Thanksgiving.
Oof. So another like heavy hitting category, right? So it's going to be I got to give it a straight tie between Carver and Ellie. I think Ellie might take it. You know what? Yeah, let's give it to Ellie if I'm going to pick one, but I'm going to say Carver was a close second. And I say that because Ellie was phenomenal, right? Legendary, like now horror legend for sure. Definitely my favorite from last year. So I'm going to give it to her. But I will say this about John Carver and Thanksgiving is that it is hard, right? It's super hard to bring a new horror icon or a re-envisioned horror icon out in the modern age, like an 80s style slasher horror icon. And I'm not saying that Carver deserves that title, like Art the Clown, instant icon, right? But I think Carver got super close, and I'm sure we're going to see more of them. So in that realm of like the minor from My Bloody Valentine, in that kind of like category of horror icon, it's just tough to accomplish. A lot of people have tried, since the 80s and just, haven't. Yeah, exactly. And this one here is just a banger. So he's going to get my very close runner-up, but bet Ellie's taking it. I love Ellie. What about you, Lena?
For me, it's probably gonna be the Entity in Skinamarink because, like G said, it's a movie that really makes you uncomfortable. I mean, the Entity gives a lot to that feeling of uncomfort. Because I would have put John Carver on second place as well. The problem I have with John Carver is the motive. Because I love that character as like the slasher killer he is. But as soon as the reveal comes and like the whole motive reveal, it's like with Ghostface. I really love the concept of Ghostface, but as soon as the killers reveal their motive, it's like, it destroyed it a bit because it doesn't make sense to me. It's like the only thing I have against John Carver is like, it was so damn predictable.
I get it. What about you, G?
This one is really hard for me because I'm almost like all of them. But I'm going to go with Deadite Ellie as my favorite. I just think, especially that creepy smile, the exaggerated smile, so creepy.
Tilted head with the big eyes and that smile. Oh, man, I love it.
Mommy is with the maggots now.
Yes, so good.
The winner for Best Villain is Megan from Megan, and I get that completely. I mean,
I just think all three of us aren't really the biggest fans of Megan. I mean,
I know.
the movie has been nominated a lot,
Yeah.
but I've seen way too many animatronic, robot-like horror movies in the past years for me to really care all that much anymore. I think
I know.
that's really bad. I know there's a lot of love in that movie, and it's a really great movie, but it just gets so much hype that it
kills it.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I'm gonna be honest, I fell asleep. I did.
That's a clear sign right there, right?
I mean, the pacing of it, I was just like, I got that they were building anticipation, and it's one of those where it was so well acted, and the premise and everything is great, but I was like, and okay.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I get that people love it, and I didn't hate it. It's just like it's not on my radar as far as best of. I think it appeals to a certain age group. That's very big as far as going to the movies every weekend. And I get it. You know what I mean? Like things that when we were teenagers that we thought were amazing, the older generation of horror fans probably thought the same thing. So I get it. It's earned the respect that it's getting. It's not one of my favorites, but I wouldn't take it away from anyone is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't judge anybody. I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I can get it.
Yeah.
All right, and next up we have Best Director, which is our final category. The nominees are Damien Rugna for When Evil Lurks, Michelle Garza for The Bone Woman. Michelle Garza Cervera for The Bone Woman, Lee Cronin for Evil Dead Rise, Brian Duffield, No One Will Save You, Gerard Johnston for Megan, Danny and Michael Philippou for Talk to Me.
What another tough category, right? Like
such a tough category.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with Damien Rugna for When Evil Lurks, because that from beginning to end, the pacing of that movie, the visual, like from a director's point of view, and again, like I'm gonna throw a little credit to Evil Dead Rise. I'm gonna throw a lot of credit to Talk to Me. I think even No One Will Save You. There's so many deserving ones of this one, but in my heart, I gotta go with When Evil Lurks, Damien Rugna. What about you, Lena?
Oh, for me, it's to roll up one of the first arguments with one of the first categories. It has to go to No One Will Save You, because, like we all are, I'm a big fan of indie movies and people having a tight budget and running with it and doing great things with it. And him directing and having this great idea and executing it so perfectly with the things he had. I just think that's what makes a very, very great director, to make a lot out of almost nothing.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. What about you, G?
I think I'm going to go with Damien Rugna as well, and he's also the winner of the category. And I think a lot of the what he wanted to convey in the movie, he did an incredible job, and you could see his vision through the whole thing. And I just have to say, I want to see The Bone Woman even more, because I didn't realize until, well, for one, I hadn't heard of the movie yet, but for two, it had a woman director, and I was like, what the heck? Why have I not heard of this movie?
Yeah, it's with all the praise it's getting here. It's moving up my to watch list super quick. I wonder. Yeah, I know I said it earlier, but it's going to be funny after we watch it. If we come back to this list and be like, oh yeah,
oh yeah, that's why it's there. Thank you for joining us today as we reviewed the Dead Meat Horror Awards. It was a lot of fun, and we do hope that you'll join us next time, and also check us out on our Discord. Stay spooky.